According to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention (CDC), more than 50 older adults in the United States die suddenly in their sleep each year without any clear warning signs. Imagine the heartbreaking scenario of 73-year-old Mary living alone in Minnesota. She was still healthy, cooking and cleaning for herself, and even chatting happily with her grandchildren via video call the afternoon before. Yet, the next morning, her relatives discovered she had passed away peacefully in the night without a last word, with no one realizing anything was amiss. This is not an isolated case. Many older adults are described as being normal last night, but never waking up again, leaving families in shock and asking, if we had known in advance, could we have prevented this tragedy? The truth is, you might be unknowingly inviting the risk of stroke, heart failure, or even death simply because of a small habit before bedtime. Could you be unintentionally poisoning your sleep without even realizing it? In this article, we will discuss 4 seemingly harmless habits that can silently claim thousands of lives each year. From how you lie down, dinner time, to bedroom temperature, every detail contains potential risks. But don't worry, as long as you understand the issues and make timely changes, the heartbreaking scenario like Mary's can be avoided. Read this article to the end, and you will learn how to protect yourself and your loved ones from these hidden dangers under the pillow. Sleep is supposed to be a time for recovery, to slow down after a long day. Don't let unconscious habits turn it into a slow poison every night. And now, let's embark on a journey to discover what is lurking in your familiar bed, threatening your health. Part 1. Sleeping in the wrong position. The silent enemy. Have you ever thought that the way you sleep could silently erode your health, especially after the age of 70? Many people probably don't pay attention to this, believing that as long as they feel comfortable, it's enough. But listen to the story of 76-year-old Robert, living in California. He had a habit of sleeping on his back almost all night, thinking it was better for his back. Notably, Margaret, his wife, often noticed him stop breathing for a few seconds, then gasp for air in the night. Initially, they jokingly said, "He probably snores too loudly, sometimes forgets to breathe." But after one night when Robert woke up in the middle of the night with a rapid heartbeat and a feeling of suffocation, they began to take the problem seriously. The diagnosis: he had sleep apnea, a condition that can lead to high blood pressure, arrhythmia, and even stroke or heart failure if left untreated. According to the American Heart Association, sleeping on your back can cause the throat tissues and tongue to sag due to gravity, unintentionally blocking part of the airway. Older adults, especially those who already have reduced muscle tone in their throats, are even more prone to this phenomenon. This seemingly harmless position can significantly reduce the amount of oxygen entering the lungs, forcing the heart to work harder to pump oxygen-rich blood to the organs. As a result, pressure on the blood vessel walls increases, causing unstable blood pressure. This is why many people are surprised to discover they have serious cardiovascular complications, even though they eat and exercise healthily during the day. Everything bad happens while they sleep, without them even knowing. Beyond the risk of sleep apnea, sleeping in the wrong position is also linked to various other problems. For example, if you lie on your right side for too long, your heart will bear more pressure. A report by the National Institutes of Health (NIH) shows a correlation between prolonged right-side sleeping and symptoms of acid reflux in older adults. When stomach acid refluxes into the esophagus, heartburn, dry cough, and even choking on phlegm can occur multiple times a night, disrupting deep sleep. The vicious cycle of sleep deprivation, weakened cardiovascular system, reduced immunity continues to repeat itself. The question is, what is the ideal sleeping position, especially when our bodies are past the age of 70? According to NIH recommendations, sleeping on your left side is generally best. Firstly, The left side position helps reduce pressure on the heart, facilitating easier blood circulation. Secondly, it is beneficial for the digestive system. The stomach and large intestine are in a favorable position, reducing reflux and discomfort. Thirdly, for those with lower back or hip pain, sleeping on the left side with a pillow between the legs can help the spine maintain its natural curve, reducing pressure on the joints. Of course, it's easier said than done to maintain a left side sleeping position throughout the night. Many people can sleep in this position for a few hours, but then unconsciously revert to their habit of sleeping on their back or rolling over to their right side. To solve this, use a body pillow, a long pillow, long enough to hug or lean against your back. You can also place a small pillow behind your back to fix your body in the left side position. These solutions may sound cumbersome, but they are extremely helpful, especially for people with a history of heart or respiratory conditions. If you are concerned about inconvenience, you can start simply by hugging a soft pillow in front of you, making it easier to maintain the side position without twisting your body too much. So, is changing sleeping positions really that miraculous? Imagine this: if sleeping in the wrong position reduces blood oxygen, increases heart rate, and raises blood pressure throughout the night, then switching to the correct position can alleviate some of that burden, allowing you to wake up with a calmer heart rate and a clearer mind, especially for people at risk of stroke, heart failure, or who have experienced transient ischemic attacks. Reducing pressure on the heart during 7-8 hours of sleep each night is of paramount importance. These changes are not a magic cure for all diseases, but they certainly contribute significantly to a healthy lifestyle in later years. Many people, after being instructed by doctors on the left side sleeping position and adjusting their pillows, have reported feeling less tired and experiencing fewer morning headaches. Some even said their sleep was less interrupted by coughing, acid reflux, or nighttime breathlessness. Of course, if you have severe snoring or sleep apnea, in addition to changing positions, you should also see a doctor for more specialized solutions using a CPAP machine, NT surgery, etc. However, changing sleeping position is still a simple and safe first step. Like Robert's story, if his sleep apnea had not been detected in time, he might have faced the risk of a sudden heart attack or stroke. Just one small change, switching from sleeping on his back to his left side, opened the door to freer breathing, dispelling the worry of nighttime oxygen deprivation. This is why we should consider sleeping position as an ally that can help extend lifespan, instead of dismissing it as a default habit. Just like eating or exercising, sleep requires us to invest properly. In summary, sleeping position can indeed become a silent enemy if you simply ignore it. For those over 70, the body is inherently more sensitive and immunity is reduced. Just by making a small change, sleeping on your left side, using extra support pillows, and monitoring your body's response, you can significantly increase your chances of protecting your cardiovascular health, preventing nighttime strokes, and welcoming the morning with a refreshed spirit. Don't wait until you experience chest pain, shortness of breath, or a stroke to suddenly become vigilant. Take a few minutes before bed tonight to adjust your position, because sometimes a small change can save you from an unforeseen event. Part 2. Eating dinner too late. A small habit with potentially big consequences. Dorothy, 72, living alone in Texas, had a habit of eating dinner very late, usually around 9 or even 10 p.m. During the day, she was still healthy, walking steadily, with no alarming signs. However, in recent months, she began experiencing sudden heartburn episodes right after lying down in bed. Her heart rate also often raced around midnight, accompanied by shortness of breath and mild sweating. Initially, Dorothy thought she was just having palpitations due to anxiety, but when she went to the doctor, she was warned. The habit of eating late can lead to acid reflux and arrhythmia. At your age, This is extremely dangerous, even increasing the risk of nighttime stroke. Many older adults share Dorothy's habit finishing meals too late because they may eat little during the day or have late afternoon tea and then want to compensate in the evening. However, eating dinner too late is often underestimated, while it is one of the silent culprits causing a series of problems, from insomnia, acid reflux, high blood pressure, to the risk of stroke. According to the Point US Department of Agriculture USDA, eating dinner close to bedtime increases the risk of acid reflux in older adults by as much as 30–40% compared to those who eat earlier. More alarmingly, in the U.S., about 3–4 out of 10 people over 70 have chronic acid reflux, and many are hospitalized for aspiration pneumonia complications after stomach acid refluxes into the throat and enters the airway while lying down. So why does eating late have such terrible consequences? It all stems from the digestive mechanism and cardiovascular activity at night. When you eat a hearty dinner at 9 or 10 p.m., your stomach is still working hard to digest the food, while your body should be entering a resting phase. Stomach acid secretion increases, digestive juices overwork, pushing acid up into the esophagus if you lie down immediately. This leads to heartburn, dry cough, or even nighttime breathlessness. At the same time, the heart beats faster to pump blood to the digestive tract. Blood pressure struggles to return to a stable level, causing difficulty falling asleep or restless sleep, disrupting deep sleep. If you have type 2 diabetes, the situation is even worse. Blood sugar levels at night can spike because the body has not finished processing the carbohydrates from the late meal. The next morning, you wake up feeling sluggish, tired, headachy, even dizzy, because blood sugar levels are still fluctuating abnormally. Moreover, prolonged sleep deprivation or restless sleep will negatively impact insulin metabolism, making diabetes much harder to control. Imagine the vicious cycle. You eat late too, insomnia, acid reflux, rapid heartbeat, increased blood pressure, even more tired and stressed the next day, possibly leading to uncontrolled eating or disrupted circadian rhythm. Gradually, quality of life is eroded. For older adults, each night of poor sleep contributes to shortening lifespan in a death by 1,000 cuts manner, and by the time it's detected, it's too late. The best solution is to establish a curfew for dinner. Experts often recommend stop eating about 3–4 hours before bedtime. If you plan to go to bed at 10 p.m., try to finish your main meal before 6–7 p.m. This allows the stomach to digest most of the food, reducing the likelihood of reflux. If you have to eat later than expected, choose a light, low-fat, easily digestible meal. For example, a bowl of vegetable soup or a small portion of grilled chicken breast with boiled vegetables, avoiding fried, stir-fried, or heavily spiced dishes. If you still feel hungry before bed, you can have a light snack such as a glass of warm almond milk, a small amount of low-sugar fruit, or a handful of unsalted nuts. This helps you feel full, without stimulating the stomach to secrete too much acid. For those who have had a habit of eating late for a long time, sudden changes may initially cause discomfort. However, believe that every small adjustment is exchanged for your cardiovascular health, respiratory health, and sleep quality. Once your stomach is no longer toiling late at night, you will be surprised to find yourself sleeping more deeply, less likely to wake up, and without that heavy feeling in the morning. For people with diabetes, eating earlier helps stabilize blood sugar levels, avoiding hypoglycemia or abnormal spikes in the middle of the night. Emotionally, imagine waking up the next morning with light breathing, no more heartburn, and a steady heartbeat. You will have enough energy to chat with your grandchildren, enjoy small pleasures like taking a walk or gardening, no longer haunted by the thought I'm harming myself every time heartburn rises in the middle of the night. It all starts with something as simple as eating dinner earlier, something you may have underestimated. Dorothy in Texas, after being awakened by her doctor, resolutely changed her habits. She tried to eat dinner at 6:30 p.m., and if she couldn't make it earlier due to busy schedules, she made sure not to eat overly greasy foods. After just a few weeks, she clearly felt the difference. Heartburn decreased, nighttime heart rate stabilized. She said she was no longer afraid of waking up in the middle of the night, coughing and choking. Another side benefit, eating earlier, helped her control her weight better, and her waistline no longer steadily increased over time. In summary, eating dinner too late is a small habit, but has the potential to cause big problems for older adults. The stomach has to overwork, while the body needs to rest. Acid refluxes into the esophagus. The heart is stimulated to beat faster, and the risk of cardiovascular complications and stroke also increases. If you are in your 70s or older, never be careless about dinner time. Give your stomach the necessary time to process food, preparing for peaceful sleep. Because when night comes, what you need is not a full stomach, but a safe sleep, helping to restore your body for a new day full of energy. Part 3. Drinking too much water before bed. When too much water becomes unsafe, many people still believe that drinking water before bed can help keep skin hydrated and prevent nighttime dehydration, especially for older adults. The habit of drinking a glass of warm water before bedtime seems even more reasonable. But ask yourself, what happens to an aging bladder when you load up on a large amount of water close to bedtime? The answer may surprise you sometimes. Drinking too much water in the evening silently puts you at significant health risks. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention (CDC), the rate of nighttime fall injuries in older adults can increase by 30–40% in those who frequently wake up in the middle of the night to urinate. When you suddenly get out of bed, blood pressure hasn't had time to adjust, blood rushes down, and you are prone to dizziness and loss of balance. A nighttime slip and fall, especially for people over 70, is not just a bruise. It can lead to fractures, traumatic brain injury, and long-term impacts on mobility. More dangerously, many accidents of this type occur when eyes haven't adjusted to the light or you rush out of bed to get to the bathroom in time. Beyond that, having to wake up continuously to relieve yourself also interrupts the deep sleep phase, the time when the brain recovers, consolidates memory, and regulates hormones. Not to mention, each time you turn on the light, your body thinks it's morning, and the production of melatonin, a sleep-inducing hormone, is disrupted. As a result, you fall into a vicious cycle, wake up to urinate difficulty, falling back asleep more, but run out of time next day, tired, mentally sluggish, even impairing concentration and memory. In the long run, sleep deprivation can worsen dementia, making older adults more confused, forgetful, and irritable. This does not mean you have to stop drinking water completely. Our bodies still need enough water to maintain biological functions and stabilize blood pressure. The solution lies in distributing water intake reasonably throughout the day. You should drink enough water in the morning and early afternoon, keeping your body hydrated throughout the active period. By late afternoon, gradually reduce water intake, avoiding drinking several large glasses of water close to bedtime. If thirsty, take small sips instead of gulping at once. Also, don't forget the water content hidden in juicy fruits, soups, broths. You may not drink water directly, but still consume a significant amount of fluids. Pay attention to reading nutrition labels and limit total fluid intake after 6–7 p.m., especially for people with nocturia. In addition, reduce drinking tea, coffee, or caffeinated soft drinks after 3–4 p.m., as caffeine will stimulate the kidneys to work harder, increasing the frequency of nighttime urination. Emotionally, just imagine you're falling into a good sleep. Suddenly, the urge to urinate attacks. You get up, fumble for slippers, eyes not yet accustomed to the darkness, head spinning due to postural hypotension. In addition, each time deep sleep is interrupted like this, joint and bone recovery is also reduced, leading to an even higher risk of osteoporosis in older adults. A nighttime fall can leave after effects for a whole year, severely impacting quality of life. Conversely, if you know how to adjust your water drinking schedule, distributing it evenly during the day so that the bladder can relax at night, the risk of waking up will also be significantly reduced. This means more stable sleep, more time for the brain to recharge, and you wake up the next morning without feeling dark circles, tired, or sluggish. In particular, the risk of falls is reduced, limiting serious injuries that follow. In short, be cautious about the habit of drinking too much water before bed. Don't let the desire for non-dry skin or preventing dehydration turn into a dangerous situation for yourself, especially when you are at an age vulnerable to bone and joint injuries. Prioritize drinking enough water during the daytime, gradually reducing it in the afternoon and evening, and also control diuretic drinks. The bladder is not infinite, and precious sleep is too. Just one fall or chronic insomnia is enough for you to understand that too much water sometimes makes us unsafe. Part 4. Bedroom too warm, sleeping in an oven, and unpredictable consequences. Frank, 74, lives in Florida, where the climate is humid and hot year-round. But he has a habit of needing it to be really warm to sleep, keeping the room temperature at 75, using a thick blanket, and sometimes even wearing a thin sweater. Every night he woke up several times drenched in sweat, with a racing heart. Waking up, Frank was always tired. Even his blood pressure would spike, causing dizziness and headaches. Later, doctors warned that this habit of sleeping too warm could make his heart strain all night, leading to a higher risk of stroke and heart failure in people over 70. According to the National Sleep Foundation, the ideal room temperature for deep sleep is usually between 60-67, F equivalent to 15.5 to 19.5 C. The reason is that when we fall asleep, our bodies automatically cool down to conserve energy and support the recovery process. If the room is too warm, the heart has to continuously speed up circulation to cool down, blood vessels dilate, and the heart beats faster to pump blood to the skin to dissipate heat. Instead of relaxing, your heart is working overtime all night, completely contrary to the purpose of physiological rest. This suffering especially knocks on the door of older people, because older bodies have reduced ability to sweat and regulate body temperature. Less sweat, heat accumulates in the body, which can cause silent dehydration. Blood also becomes thicker, and the heart has to contract more to push blood through narrowed vessels. This is why for those with a history of coronary artery disease, high blood pressure, or heart failure, just one night of sleeping too hot is enough to push blood pressure to dangerous levels, creating a risk of blood clots, stroke, and heart attack. Even in a hot room, the airways are also easily irritated, making breathing difficult, causing louder snoring or interrupted breathing during sleep. So what should you do to adjust your bedroom safely, especially if you are used to a warm standard? First of all, choose blankets, sheets, and pillows made of breathable materials: cotton, linen, allowing the body to breathe better. Instead of a thick comforter, you can use thin layers of blankets. If you feel cold, just add a layer without having to increase the temperature of the whole room. At the same time, wear light, sweat-absorbent pajamas. Many people make the mistake of, the room is already warm, and they still use thick blankets, making the heat dissipation process completely blocked. If you want to keep the air cool, you can open a window for ventilation or use a small fan for circulation. For areas that are hot year-round, an air conditioner set at 65-70 F at night is just enough to create comfort while avoiding freezing cold. Some people share that they are used to sleeping at 75 or higher and are afraid that reducing it by a few degrees will make them shiver. In that case, Don't lower the temperature too drastically at first. You can try reducing from 75°F to 73°F, monitor for a few days, and then continue to gradually reduce to 72°F. Adjust gradually to allow the body to adapt, avoiding sudden temperature shock. The feeling of a person sleeping in a cool environment is very different from someone lying in an oven all night. Waking up, you are no longer sluggish, sweaty all over, but instead feel alert and refreshed. Good sleep quality also promotes protein synthesis, improves memory, and boosts immunity. Older adults often complain about morning aches, difficulty moving, but when the room is kept at a reasonable temperature, muscles and joints have a chance to recover more deeply, reducing inflammation and improving blood circulation, helping you welcome a new day with positive energy. Imagine the morning, you wake up, breathe in fresh air, no longer dizzy because your heart was pounding all night to cool down, no more pillow soaked in sweat, blood pressure kept at a safe level. That is the great benefit of a cool and airy bedroom instead of an overly warm one, especially for those at risk of stroke, heart attack, or suffering from chronic obstructive pulmonary disease or heart failure. Maintaining a room temperature of 67°F is almost a key to helping the heart and lungs bear less burden. In summary, an overly warm bedroom not only makes you toss and turn and sweat, but also silently puts your cardiovascular system in a race all night. Cool down your nest properly to ensure deep sleep, stabilize blood pressure, and reduce the risk of stroke. Because sleep is not just closing your eyes to rest, it is the time when the body recovers and repairs damage. And the golden condition for regeneration is a sleeping space that is both cool and airy, where every morning you wake up feeling mentally sharp and physically light. You have just discovered 4 seemingly minor habits that can greatly affect the health of older adults: sleeping in the wrong position, eating dinner too late, drinking too much water before bed, and sleeping in an overly warm room. Don't think these are just harmless details when accumulated over many years. They can become seeds of disaster, leading to stroke, heart attack, or serious decline in quality of life. Try starting with a simple change. You don't have to overhaul your entire lifestyle overnight. Choose one habit and adjust it tonight. It could be moving dinner earlier, lowering the air conditioner a few degrees, or hugging an extra pillow to maintain a left side sleeping position. Just one small step forward can help you notice a significant difference after a few days: deeper sleep, calmer heartbeat, and a lighter spirit upon waking. The important thing is that we live longer not just to exist, but also to enjoy a healthy and happy old age with children, grandchildren, and friends. Nothing is sadder than having to trade precious retirement years for a stroke or cardiovascular complications that could have been prevented early on. Let these 4 harmful habits become 4 reminders every time you prepare to turn off the lights and go to bed. If you find this article helpful, don't hesitate to share it so that relatives and friends, especially those over 70, also know how to protect their sleep and health. The more people understand and adjust early, the fewer sad stories we will witness about nighttime falls, sleep apnea, or sudden strokes. Let every day that passes be a gift, a lasting joy, and no longer a gnawing worry when going to bed.